to Typewriter Minutes. Today we're showing you a little bit about on-feet alignment.
Yeah, not those type of feet.
Anyways, this video is about how to align the typeface on a Remington Quiet-Riter from the 1950s. This video topic was suggested by one of our viewers from the last episode.
Now when we put the ribbon on this in our last episode and did a type test, we noticed that the H's did not align on the bottom when we did the type test. We made our adjustments and now it's nice and aligned, and it's called the on-feet adjustment. Today we're going to show you how we did it.
The first thing we did was type all capital letters in a row, softly, not hard.
So we push the shift key, type a row of capital letters very lightly.
Notice that the top of the letters are printing darker than the bottom ones. That's because they're not printing in the center of the platen like they should be. By the way, the reason you want to type lightly in the test is because if you type it hardly, it's harder to see if they're out of alignment or not.
Okay, the Remington Quiet-Riter is a basket shift machine, so when you push the shift button, the basket goes up and down. And the on-feet alignment on this machine is underneath. So we're going to flip it up. And if my handy cameraman will zoom in over here, you'll notice when I push the shift button up and down, there's a little rubber bumper. If you'll zoom in just a bit, that's the bottom stop. So that's the first stopper, and then we're going to show you the second one in a minute. It's harder to see, but it's right above this screw. Okay, now way up in there you'll see the other stopper. It's got a little flat spot on it, and it comes when you push the shift button. It hits a rubber bumper that's right behind or right above that screw. So there's two screws on the bottom for this adjustment. The bottom screw down here is for the lowercase. The upper screw is for the uppercase, so that's easy to remember. First thing you have to do is loosen the nut. If you'll zoom in, Mr. Cameraman, there's a little nut that you need to loosen before you can make the adjustment on the screw. And this was kind of strange, but I found out that even though this is an American typewriter, the size wrench that I needed to get on that nut was a 5.5 millimeter wrench. For some reason, didn't take standard sizes. I'm sure there's a logical reason for that, but standard American wrenches didn't work, so we went to metric. So the first thing you have to do is loosen that nut. Once it's loosened, you can kind of loosen it by hand the rest of the way. Now we're going to turn this screw. We'll try 2 whole turns. So there's a half turn, there's 1 full turn, 1.5, 2. We'll tighten that up now, or we'll try that and see what it looks like.
Now we're going to have a test to see if we need any more adjustments.
So I'm going to hold down the shift button, do some capital letters lightly. And zoom in, Mr. Cameraman. Still a little bit darker on the top than on the bottom, so we're going to adjust it a little bit more. Okay, we're going to do about 1.5 more turns. So there's a half. Well, we'll stop there. See what that looks like. Okay, here we go. Let's test some capital letters. Doing it lightly. Zoom in there. That looks pretty good.
If anything, we over-adjusted a little, so let's keep on going.
So now we're going to back it off a half a turn. I was going clockwise. Now I'm going to go counterclockwise half a turn. Keep the camera rolling, Mr. Cameraman. And let's see how we look. Zoom in there. That looks pretty even, top to bottom. So now we're going to tighten up that nut. Okay, so I'm going to hold the screw in place with the screwdriver so it doesn't turn as we tighten the nut. Now we'll tighten that nut with our 5.5mm wrench. Okay, now we're ready for the next adjustment.
After all the capitals are on V, which basically just means in the middle of the platen, you start your next test.
So now you type, hold the shift down, do capital H, lower h, capital H, lower h, oops, capital H, lower h, capital H, lower h. And as you can see, the bottom of the letters do not line up. They actually were lined up when we got this ribbon on.
But we were nice to you, and we set it up so that it wasn't, because we like you so much and we want to show you how it works. Now we're going to adjust the lowercase screw.
So, flip it up on its back. Loosen the nut with the 5.5mm wrench, which I don't understand. If there's any professionals out there that can tell me why an American typewriter uses metric nuts, I'd be curious to know why. Maybe they bought their nuts from the Germans at Olympia, I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna now loosen that by hand. Okay, so now I'm gonna try going counterclockwise. 1, 2, 3 full turns, and let's see what that looks like. Capital H, lower h, capital H, lower h, capital H, lower h, capital H, lower h. That looks pretty darn good. In fact, I think we're gonna call it good enough. So once you got that aligned, go back to the bottom of the machine. Hold the screw in position so that you don't mess it up. Tighten the nut by hand, then tighten it up with the wrench. This one's a little bit tricky. Okay, I think we got it. By the way, I have a 1951 Remington Quiet-Riter, and these screws are in different places. So this is a 1957 machine. If you have a different model year, just look for the screws. You'll notice that there's other screws on the bottom of this machine, but look for the screw that looks like this, that has a little nut behind it. That's usually a good indication that those are the adjustment screws for the on-feet alignment.
Now for a quick typing test.
Looks pretty good, other than the smudge I put on there.
Now, if you have any other questions about this kind of thing, like if somehow it's skipping, you're on your own, because this video was about on-feet alignment only. But for now, that's it for Typewriter Minutes. Be sure to share, link, like, and subscribe. Bye-bye.